Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew. Now what I have for you today are 10 military bushcraft and survival hacks. These are some skills you probably haven't seen before and some new things. Everything ranging from firecraft to water to shelter, as well as a little bit of improvisation and even taking a look at some urban survival get-ups with our plate carrier and a different way to carry our IFAC. Stand by. Now for our first skill, a new one. We're going to take that 9-volt battery that's part of our signaling kit that goes with our little Firefly infrared transmitter, similar to a larger strobe that blinks and alerts aircraft up in the sky from the ground that we can use as a survival signal or signaling friendly forces. Next, we're going to need just the razor blades from our cheap dual razor that's part of our hygiene kit. We just break these apart, break them off, and get the metal material from inside to complete the current. Now that we have both of those blades out, we're going to take a little bit of tape and tape one to one of the terminals on the 9-volt battery and angle it in. That other blade that we have, we're just going to apply it right on top and hold it with our fingers. From here, we just touch the blade and it helps to kind of rub the blade against itself down the length to actually get those sparks. They're very, very small, which means we need very fine tinder. For this demonstration, we're going to use char cloth because char cloth can take a very small spark, a minute amount of heat, and grow it to an ember that we can apply to a bird's nest or a tinder bundle or other tinder material and blow into flame. For this technique, it's best to rub the length of the razors across one another, just on the blades or the edge of the metal, to make that spark last as long as possible. Focus it onto the char material into one single spot where the edges are frayed from the cotton material, and hopefully eventually it will actually take that spark and begin to grow. From there, we just add air, apply it to our tinder bundle, blow it into flame, and we have our survival fire ready to go. For our next task, we're going to do another fire skill, only we're not going to get as froggy as we did with this last skill. This time, we're just going to use basic equipment. We're going to have our magazine with ammunition, we're going to use our multi-tool, and we're also going to use our binoculars. We're going to pop a round out of that magazine using our multi-tool. We're just going to remove the projectile from the casing so we can get at that gunpowder. We have a piece of wood that's going to act as our catch. We're going to upend that casing, dumping out the powder onto the catch, and then we're going to grab our binoculars and unscrew one of the lenses from our binoculars, and we're going to use this for solar ignition. We're going to aim and harness the sun's rays, pointing that beam directly at our gunpowder. Once it gets hot and takes that spark, it'll catch very quickly. From here, we can just pile on our tinder to get our survival fire going. The best part about this is we're only out one round of ammunition, plus we can screw the lens back onto our binos, and we still have them available for use to survey the landscape and recon. This next skill isn't so much a skill as it is a kit to enable skills, one of the most important being medical aid, providing not only self-aid but then to also administer aid to a buddy on the field. And that is using a focused trauma kit that is designed to look like and mesh up with plates inserted into our plate carrier. It's very thin, durable plastic that has an entire IFAC kit inside minus a tourniquet. It's got hyphen chest seal, it has NCD, nasopharyngeal with a lube, compressed gauze, combat gauze, ace bandage. It's got an eye cover as well as a permanent marker to write down injuries on a casualty feeder card. The only thing missing is a tourniquet. Note the red lanyard at the zipper so we can identify the zipper very quickly on a casualty, unzip it, and get to the IFAC and begin treatment. This is a perfect kit that goes into the plate carrier and actually frees up some of the space on the front of the plate carrier for other pouches and equipment. Good to go. Here's a reason you always carry sugar as part of your survival kit, either in your survival tin or in your brew kit, or hanging on to sugar from survival rations or MREs or meals you buy off the shelf that have sugar packets in there, or just grab them from the local gas station on your way through. Keep sugar packets as part of your kit because we can use that sugar to get a fire going. Just like last week's video, in an Australian survival kit we had potassium permanganate crystals. A lot of survival kits could have those, and we could add them to our survival kits ourselves. But we can use that pop perm and that sugar together to actually get a fire going. How we do that is take out our knife, our saw, harvest some material off the landscape to create just a basic mortar and pestle. We take that sugar, dump it into our mortar, and then add a 1-to-1 ratio of our pop perm, crush it with our pestle, and the friction will activate the chemicals and ignite it into fire. Here's a guerrilla warfare hack for you. Recently, read the biography on Haru Onada, a Japanese officer who survived almost 30 years on the island of Lubang in the Philippines during and after World War II. A technique that he developed was improvised camouflage. And what he would do was take fishing line and sew it on the reverse side of his top that he wore. That way he could quickly change out of his top, reverse it, put it back on, have the loops accessible, and be able to apply camouflage to himself and veg up to blend in with the surroundings. So he had that camouflage and concealment and could move freely around the island of Lubang, avoiding detection while he conducted his guerrilla warfare tactics. So here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sew fishing line onto the reverse side of our camouflage top. We did it with just the first layer, so it's not actually going through our chest pockets. That way, no one can see the fishing line, and we still have access to those pockets. Now that we have it on the reverse side, all we have to do is cut down a little bit of vegetation, slide it into those loops that we created with that fishing line. This is 30-pound test fishing line, so it's very strong. Once we have enough, a basic layer, we can just put it on and begin to blend into the environment. Here's a hack we can use to set up our shelter, especially if we don't have our quick deploy ridge line actually established with the Prusik loops on the line itself to help suspend our tarp or our poncho for our hooch. What we're going to do is string up our deploy ridge line just like normal. We're going to keep the Prusik loops we have on the line all the way to the end for this demonstration. We're not even going to use them. Once we get up to our near anchor point and around our far anchor point, we're going to stop. We're going to pull out our poncho or our tarp, and we're going to find the diagonal ends of our poncho and our tarp, create a loop on our ridge line, slide it through the grommets, and secure them in place with toggles. Now that our toggles are in place in the diagonal corners of our poncho, we can tighten up our ridge line, secure it with a trucker's hitch and a quick release knot, and then go to work. All we have to do to actually move the poncho grommets up and down our ridge line is just grab the toggle and begin twisting and rolling that toggle, and we'll see that the poncho corners are actually going to start moving down the ridge line. Once we get it to where we want it, we tighten it up. The quick deploy ridge line is actually looped underneath on the bottom side of the poncho, so we just grab the excess, throw it over, and stake out the two remaining corners, and our shelter is up. This is an easy way to set up a shelter and still be able to move that poncho up and down that ridge line, set it in place without those Prusiks to help us. A favorite hack is finding military-issued tools that are high-carbon steel. There are several tools out there that we can use, and high-carbon steel is a very durable metal that is used for a lot of different military activities. The SPAX is a tool, and in this case we have the jungle machete that is also made of high-carbon steel, made by Ontario. So we know it's high-carbon steel, and we can use it similarly to Bushcraft, where we take a hard rock and use the spine of that blade, glancing blows against the spine with that hard rock, and we shave off pieces of metal that ignite, turn into sparks, and can land on very fine tinder material. In this case, that char cloth that we had left over from the beginning of the video with that 9-volt battery and the razor blades. We can do the same thing now, getting a fire going with that jungle machete. Flint and steel kit, strike it, hit those sparks right onto the char material, make sure it's lit, apply it to a tinder bundle, and then all we have to do now is blow it into flame, place it underneath our fire layer, add fire material onto it, and we have our survival fire. A great piece of kit, good to know and good to test when you're out there in the field. You want to know how to make the ammo supply point sergeant really mad? Don't turn in your grenade pin rings. Hang on to those grenade pin rings because we can use them for a wide variety of survival and bushcraft skills. Keep them in our kit and take them out when we need them, and even use them for bushcraft itself. And one favorite is using those rings for the pins of a bucksaw frame to hold the entire apparatus together. What we can do is harvest all the material to create a bucksaw frame off the landscape, and then we keep a 21-inch saw blade either in a cash belt or a bush pot or just part of our kit, and take it out when we need it, put those rings through the eyelets of the saw blade, and now we have built-in pins, so we don't have to actually carve pins off the landscape from wood that would break or fall out, or we would lose those pins. We just have them right there ready to go in the form of these grenade pin rings. Construct the entire apparatus together, and then from there it's just business as usual with a buck saw. We can take down material, harvest material, shape material, carve a notch at will with a big, large buck saw using those grenade pin rings. This next hack comes again from World War II, developed by the British, Allied side this time, the Royal Army Medical College, the Millbank bag, a technique using very thick canvas to pre-filter water, remove a lot of the turbidity, thus a lot of the pathogens in that water to help make that water safe to drink. We got to get this bag wet first before we fill it with water and then hang it up. It's important that a dry Millbank bag be soaked in water first before being filled up. That way that water creates that layer and infuses with the canvas material itself to give us that pre-filter. And you saw we filled it up with that scummy, nasty water. And now we can finally hang it up. And what you're about to see is that this canvas bag, the Millbank bag, is going to remove a lot of that turbidity out of the water, and we're going to get clear water. Very important, though, is that we have to let the water line inside the bag go down below the thread, and there's a small thread about 3 inches from the top. Once the water gets down to that level and below, now we can begin collecting that water. We can collect that water by placing our canteen cup underneath, and you'll see that that water has gone from dark to clear. Now that we have that water collected, it's still not safe to drink. We've got to boil that water to make sure it is 100% safe to drink. Even though it's gone through that Millbank bag, and you can see it's gone from scummy to clear water, we still need to boil it for any remaining pathogens that have not been removed as part of our pre-filter with that Millbank bag. This is a great kit to have from World War II. We can take all of our other water treatment devices, chemical tablets, our metal containers, place it right inside that Millbank bag, roll it up as best as possible, put it right inside our kit, and we have a complete water treatment system as part of our survival kit. That Millbank bag, 70 years removed, still good to go. All right, for this next hack, I'm going to demonstrate how we can cut cordage without a knife or any cutting tool. And all we're going to need for this is just the cordage itself, and then a couple of sticks, or toggles in this case, that we can use to help us. So we've got our 2 toggles and we've got our cordage. What we can do is, taking our 2 little toggles, determine where we want to cut that cordage at on the line and draw enough out so we can cut it successfully. We're going to take our toggles or sticks and create just simple clove hitches to place at the left and right hand side around the area we want to cut. We tighten those clove hitches down, and then it's batter up, step up, left foot, right foot, holding those toggles on the outside of our feet to keep them in place, because we're going to be applying a little bit of pressure. Now what we do is take the excess cordage, the cordage to either left and right hand side. We prefer to take the cordage that we're going to cut and actually use next, and we're just going to find the middle of that cordage, put it in between the cord we're standing on, and then saw up, and eventually we will cut through that 550 cord, self-cut, and now we've got the cordage we need. Alright guys, well, I hope you like this video, a very down and dirty video on 10 military bushcraft and survival hacks that we can use. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.